I am actually very, very disappointed by the community of Wuthering Waves. Because, well, as a lore CC that has been making predictions and explaining the lore for a while, I felt like I did a really good, or at least a decent job, explaining to everybody the situation of Frolova and how her quote-unquote death was never really a death at all. Cue some clips. And I was expecting that maybe now, after all of this stuff happened in 2.7, that maybe the community finally understood what was happening, finally got a grasp on the each resonator's powers and how they operate, and maybe they will pay attention during the 2.6 part 2 quest, during Yuno's quest, to understand what anchoring is and to understand how Cristoforo is able to just bring things from imagination to reality and vice versa, just like that. But I was completely disappointed and dumbfounded to find out that the community has no idea what's happening in the story, and they've been making some insane, like completely ridiculous claims and completely ridiculous theories online that dude, they have no basis on reality or on what Kuro Games has been trying to tell us through Wuthering Waves' story. So I made this video, and it is kind of me crashing out about this topic specifically, so I hope you guys can forgive me for this, but I will try my best in this video to explain everything that I think the community got wrong about 2.5 and about the Cristoforo's powers, basically, and the relation to anchoring and how he managed to blend reality and fiction through the Threnodian's power. Let's begin. Okay, first and foremost, let me direct you to my Twitter account. This is where I make most of my theories, most of my predictions, most of my ideas, and this is why I post them first before I turn them into videos, potentially down the line, or I just leave them there for the community to read and understand themselves. I don't have that many followers, nor do I have any big, post or anything, but most of my theories have been indeed true, and they did in fact come to be actualized in the game during the patches that they follow. So for example, let's read, I have a post about, let me see, a post about 2.5, so doesn't kill. I think I should be able to find this. Yeah, this one. Okay, this post about death in Solaris. So this is what I said. Death in Solaris isn't so simple. So many times I've come across frequencies of people supposed to be long dead, yet still acting with thought and intelligence. Death is near, death is far. Your body might die, but if your frequency is preserved, you can live forever. And this was before 2.5, right? This was during the period where 2.5 was still getting, we were still getting the trailers for Frolova and everything, and we had very little to work with, right? So we scroll down a little bit and we start reading. Frolova doesn't kill. She tears from the life and death cycle. The frequencies she takes are preserved, possibly within her own body or within the lost beyond, or even both. It's a form of temporary immortality, which could explain why she was researching true immortality. And this literally is true. This is what happens in 2.5. We find out that she doesn't kill. When the people that she kills, she traps or she absorbs into the lost beyond, which was part of her body, in the beginning. It was in her body. It was like deep within her heart. It's described as a metaphysical place, which she then later manifested as a sonorosphere using her own resonance ability and the resources from the Order and the Fractidus, obviously. And what does she want to do? She wants these frequencies to inhabit new bodies, ones that are beyond life and death. That is true also. At first, I didn't expect her to want to use Tacit Discords because, well, Tacit Discords are alive, they can be killed, and the frequencies can be dissipated. But apparently I was wrong because I didn't expect her to try and create new types of Tacit Discords using the Thermodian's power that are actually perfect hosts and perfect flawless bodies, which well, it makes sense that how that works. Also, this is why she was encouraged when she found out that two gladiators managed to survive for so long in the flames of the deep. She might have seen potential within the dark tide, despite previously ruling it off as impossible to even carry a shred of life, which is. But that's what she said. She says that the frequency was shattered and was remade by the crashing tide. What they call immortality is nothing but a fragile masquerade, and it cannot even play the simple canvas of life, let alone choose its essence. Seems it's ruled in Imperator of any grace. Basically, the dark side is unfit to carry any life. It's not gonna help with immortality. It's not gonna help with her research. It's basically useless. So that might also explain why she's after the gem. If the gem allows control over the dark tide, then perhaps she wished to use it in order to fashion new bodies to the frequencies she collected from the dark, not from the dark tide, from the at first we didn't really know what was the story with her family and stuff. So from the frequencies she collected in general. So really, this is why she needed the gem. She needed the gem to fashion new bodies and then merge the frequencies with those bodies using the Thermodian's power to merge. So the thing that matters here, right? This is a prediction and it came true. The thing that matters here is that all of this was before 2.5, and look how much I was able to collect from what the game actually told us and what we learned from promotional material, right? So what we understood in the end is that Frolova was trying in 2.5. What did she actually try to do? She's trying to use. Let me see if I can pull up the picture, the screenshots. She wants to use the gem to fuse the bodies of Tacit Discords with human consciousness, bringing them back to life. She's trying to fulfill the desire that's always haunted her. She didn't do that yet. She wants to use the gem to fuse the bodies of Tacit Discords with human consciousness. She still can't do it on her own. She hasn't done that yet. She wants to use the gem to do that. But she never got the gem, so she never managed to actually do that. And, well, to go back to our previous points, what we were talking about earlier is the way Cristoforo brought people are thinking, like, look at this comment, for example. I mean, she still merged with the Beyond and lost her physical form. That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. She didn't lose her physical form. The Beyond merged with her and became part of her existence. It's now inside of her, just as it was for centuries before. Yes, it was within her for centuries. The Beyond, the first Beyond, the original Beyond, was formed within around Frolova during the moment of her death. It's likely Hecate who actually made it in the beginning. And the frequencies of her people and the people who died around her during the meteor, they all were coalesced and gathered there, and they were hosted within her eye as first. That's what happened. You can read this in her backstory, in her lines, in her character story. And it coalesced into her eye before it retreated deep within her heart. And that was the first Beyond. It was created all the way back then. And it wasn't like a sonorosphere, it wasn't a real place, it was nothing like that. It was just a metaphysical location where those frequencies can reside and continuously spend the same day over and over again, living in blissful ignorance. So, after all of that, right, it was within her body, and it remained within her body for centuries, until she manifested it as a real sonorosphere, using her resonance skill and resonance ability. Now, the problem with manifesting the sonorosphere, right, is that metaphysical place was attached to her. So if you just like pull it away from her, if you tear it away from her, if she goes far away, the metaphysical place tries to go back to her. it tries to merge back with her because that's where it belonged for so long. It's part of who she is. It's part of her. So it tries to go back with her. That's why the Beyond is trying to merge with Prolova, right? And when it's finally successfully is able to, it was shattered. It was destroyed. The current Beyond that we can visit in the map, the icon that we can press, it's the shards of the Beyond. It's not the actual Beyond for completed, the perfect Beyond. It was never perfect. It got destroyed before it was able to actually come to a perfect conclusion. It was not. It was never finished. It was just it's even worse now. It's destroyed now. It's just shards that are completely unfit to grant rebirth or to grant or to be like actually to actually grant rebirth to people who are inside of it. So to continue with my topic, right? To explain this further, what we need to remember from this is that what happened after Prolova was stabbed is that she fell, and then the Beyond was shattered with her body because it's tied to her well-being. The closer they got to merging, because her power, her regeneration, right, is tied to, is also limited by the Beyond. But to manifest the Beyond, she needs to constantly apply her power elsewhere. Because she was stabbed and her regeneration kicked in so quickly, the Beyond is destabilized, and that's what shattered it. And it was shattered, and the frequencies inside and the original place, the metaphysical, the concept of the place went back to inside of her body, and that's the place that we can visit now. It's inside of her, it's within her heart, and it's part of her existence. Like it says here, a place where Prolova found rebirth, which has now become part of her existence. So to finish this, now it's a world built upon thousands of reverberations. It no longer says that it's a sonorous sphere or anything. So to finish this topic and not waste too much of your time, let's talk about the next big issue that I've noticed. This line. Of course, and through Leviathan's power, I was able to read that frequency and depict you back into reality. People are now thinking that Cristoforo basically created a new scar, or like created a physical scar and brought the frequency of scar back on the dark tide and slapped it there. That's not what happened. If you played 2.6 part 2, you would know this to be anchoring. The process to depict someone back into reality is exactly what happened with Yuno. Scar, when he entered the dark tide, his frequency was already marked by Cristoforo so that he can recognize it in the big soup that is the dark tide. So what was their plan? The plan was to slingshot one off of one another. The plan was that, let me just pull up the screenshot so that you guys can see it. As the dark tide spread and I was pulled in deeper, the mark of the dark tide you left in me allowed my frequency to merge with it. So he became part of the dark tide, and his frequency was marked. So right. So the mark of the dark tide you left in me allowed my frequency to merge with it. And what happened here is that Cristoforo, through Leviathan's power, he was able to read that frequency because Leviathan has absolute control over the dark tide. He was able to read the frequency and depict him back into reality through anchoring. This is like Rover. Here's what Rover did, right? Rover took on the concept of Yuno and manifested it in the dark tide, or in the chaos. In that case, because the chaos and the dark tide are two very similar places. They're both places where physics don't apply, where reality doesn't have that big of a hold, where things and concepts can manifest if you believe in them hard enough. There isn't a it's basically an imaginary location. It's a very popular concept in fiction, and you can see that in a lot of different games. A place where thoughts can become reality just like that. So through Leviathan's power, Cristoforo was able to read that frequency and depict him back into reality. through anchoring, because Leviathan's power allows Cristoforo to blend reality and fiction. So to blend Scar and anchor Scar into reality, just like when Scar anchored Cristoforo and brought him to the one journey in paradise, and that's what allowed Cristoforo to enter the journey in paradise without being consumed by the dark tide himself. So, and to put a wrap on this, Cristoforo didn't just copy paste Scar or anything. He anchored him into reality, just like Rover did with Yuno, and Scar brought and just like Scar did with him and brought him into the journey in paradise, using himself as the place of anchoring, just like Rover did to bring other his friends from reality into the dark tide. And that's basically it, guys. I hope you guys understand now what actually happened, and I hope this misinformation doesn't ever come up again, because this is some serious level of misunderstanding, and I really don't want to deal with it like again, because I'm very tired of fixing misunderstandings in this community. People just have this bad habit. Also, I should mention, you guys remember this scene? This scene right here, where like Rover is walking on this path, and like he sees Scar and Frolova in front of him. You guys remember this scene? And then they start fighting, and he gets his ass whooped, and then like his friends show up, and they go like they basically whoop their asses. This Scar and Frolova are not real. They're not the real Scar and Frolova. Frolova never entered the dark tide. She can't enter the dark tide. It's dangerous for her to enter the dark tide because she hosts the beyond within her body, and if the beyond gets touched by the dark tide, it's cooked. The beyond is corruptive. It's a corrosive matter. If it and the beyond is very fragile right now. If the beyond is touched by the dark tide, the beyond is cooked, and everyone inside of it is cooked. And Frolova cannot touch the dark tide, while Scar can, because he doesn't care. His frequency. Also, additionally, this Scar is also not real, because these two are in the mindscape of Rover. They're not in the dark tide. They're not in the journey in paradise. This is the mindscape of Rover. As you can see in the background, this place, it's Rover's mindscape, and nobody can enter there without Rover's permission. There is nothing to suggest that they can, and basically Rover summoned his friends here as like using himself as the anchor to bring those people down. And these guys here are just him fighting his own demons. This isn't a real fight. Otherwise, Scar would be dead. He cannot survive this attack. He cannot survive this attack. And they were also talking in such a weird way. They were talking about having powers of light and darkness, and about commanding I don't know, some kind of weird chuny shit that really has nothing to do with reality. They're talking about having memories of the dark tide, and they're talking about Rover can't beat them alone. This is just Rover fighting his own demons, like formed as Frolova and Scar. They're not the real Frolova and Scar. Scar doesn't even mention this fight ever again. Frolova doesn't even mention like going to the dark tide or being in contact with the dark tide at all, aside from the time that she used her forte to unleash that big dome of the dark tide. But she herself has no reason to go in there to begin with. And secondly, even if she did, she doesn't mention this fight again at all, and it doesn't explain where did they go after this attack. So this isn't a real scene. This is just in Rover's mind, and these two are not real. To finish, this is my conclusion on this topic, and I hope you guys understand a little bit better now. So also, this is just like a bonus I'm gonna add in the end here, just so that you guys pay a little bit of more attention next time. This scene right here, this scene with the Grand Architect. Remember this? We were once your Waystones. People saw this, right? And they immediately freaked out. Like the community exploded. They went into combat mode. Rover was friends with the Fractals. Oh my god, holy shit. This is crazy. Bro, this is the Grand Architect talking. The biggest liar in Solaris. The biggest fraud in Solaris. He's the guy who manipulated Frolova and probably like hundreds of people throughout his lifetime. He's been lying to them. He's been telling them, feeding them lies, feeding them bullshits. And now you guys believe this one random line that he dropped without context or anything? You guys just take this sentence and just believe it like that? Seriously? Come on, man. Come on. Be smart. This can very easily be deception. Like it's more than likely deception. Even if it's true, we have the right to doubt this. We should be doubting this. No, we're not having the right. We should be doubting this because this guy hasn't said a single bit of truth since his first appearance, and he's been lying to us ever since we first saw him. He's been lying to us for such a very long time, and now we suddenly believe him. Like, come on, man. Come on, be serious. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any comments, any suggestions, any questions that you want answered, please leave them down below and I'll try my best to explain them to you and make sure that you have a proper understanding of the plot and story. And with that, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys around.